Penktasis mūsų pranešėjas yra įmonės BWaste International generalinis direktorius Bart Zonnenberg, kuris skaitys pranešimą tema Pažangus atliekų surinkimas. Konteinerių surinkimas ar konteinerių atrinkimas.
Good morning. I'm going to present in English as well as my language skills, my Lithuanian language skills are not sufficient. In the upcoming 20 minutes, approximately 20 minutes, I'll be talking about a topic that the majority of you will probably never think about. We take things for granted. And after all, it's not a very sexy topic. I'm going to talk about the collection of waste in cities. Something we really take for granted, therefore never talk about. But we know one thing for sure. If waste is not being collected for two or 3 weeks, you would all be talking about it. And we've seen very good live examples in multiple cities, in Europe as well, over the past 10, 20 years. What happens with a city if waste is not being collected on time? Traditional waste collection is being done. How that sits. You still hear me? Yeah. Traditional waste collection is done over fixed routes. I'm going to talk about smart waste collection and explain what that is. Let's do that differently. Something is not going in the right sequence, I believe, because this is not the slide that is supposed to come up. No, it's not the one. Is that a first? No. That's it. There we go. Good. Very shortly, BWaste is a company that is developing, manufacturing, supplying, installing, maintaining and cleaning underground waste containers, which is nothing more than a bin that you put in the ground. It creates and it saves room above the street, and it's a relatively, or actually pretty clear and clean way to collect waste, which is being used for about 20 years in Western European countries. It started in the Netherlands. For all, and that's where the intelligence comes in, we're a company who has started to focus in the early days already on the development of electronics and software in order to capture data. And why would we want to capture data out of a dumb waste container? So putting intelligence or putting electronics basically into a container is done with several purposes. Let me first tell you what an intelligent container, waste container is. It's actually nothing more than a bin that is capable of collecting data and being able as well to submit that data to a back-end application. That data in the back-end can be transformed into information, and out of that information even knowledge could be derived if you develop a good application. And why would you want to use that? Well, there are several reasons why you would like to collect data out of a bin. It, for example, enables you to optimize the moment of emptying. You could determine what the optimal frequency of emptying the bins is, which enables you to optimize your logistics plans. You can do failure management, which means if the bins are broken or if they've been put on fire or whatever is happening, you can be noticed about this if that data is sent. It also enables you to do variable payments. Normally citizens do pay a rather fixed amount, a fixed fee for having the waste being collected. In more and more countries, the waste fee payments are being made variable because the mechanism is working as follows. If I don't separate my waste correctly, I do cause a lot of residual waste. Therefore, I should pay more than you if you separate your waste correctly. the better you separate waste, actually the less waste is being caused, because the separation of paper, plastics, glass, etc. are physically the new resources of today. It enables you as a community, for example, municipality, to do a number of things. Once you start collecting data, you are increasing the grip on the outdoor activity that is being executed, whether you do that by yourself or whether you outsource that to third parties. I believe in Lithuania, the majority of the physical collection of waste is being outsourced to commercial companies. It enables you to know exactly what's happening outside on the street. It also allows you to create dynamic plans. The question in collecting waste always is, are we harvesting the city? Which means, are we making fixed routes? And are we going to touch every container that we find on our way and empty that, even if it is empty? Or are we choosing a picking model instead of a harvesting model? Picking means we're only going to drive to those containers that have an X% filling. For example, a minimal filling of 70%, depending on the filling speed. But basically, it's all about gaining control over the activities. And if you put that in a small picture, this here is a system that creates access to containers. Maybe you don't want, as a municipality, maybe you don't want to allow everybody to get access to an underground waste container. There might be reasons for that. This is a part of sensor technology that constantly measures how full each container is, and these types of data are being sent from the underground container to a back-end application, and that's what we're going to talk about. At the end, I'm going to give a physical or a live example of how some of our customers have converted from static routing, so static route planning, to dynamic route planning, and what that has brought them in savings. So let's take a look at a sensor, a reason for implementing fill measurement solutions. It gives you a near real-time view on how full a container is. And if you know how full a container is, it allows you, once you collect that data once or twice a day, every day again, it enables you to do forecasting. Knowing as a municipality which container fills up with what speed, maybe in what time of season, depending on tourist seasons, for example, summer, winter, etc. You have an incredible potential to create cost savings. The benefits, they should be clear. I don't know if everything is within the interest of municipalities in this country already, but a large focus in the country I work in is on reducing CO2, and reducing CO2 is achieved by reducing traffic, therefore reducing burning fuel. Yeah. In addition, of course, you do save maintenance costs the less kilometers you drive. It's a difficult subject to talk, but what we have seen in multiple countries where the collection or the physical collection of waste is being outsourced to third parties, the contract modeling has changed over years. Initially, the majority of municipalities made deals with collectors based on a price per collection. Within those contractual models, it's in the interest to hit as many containers per day as possible, even if they're empty, which is very logical, very understandable, nothing wrong with that. But it's not the most efficient way. So more and more municipalities have converted their contractual models and made deals based on the total weight that is being collected. And with these type of contractual models, both parties have the interest to truly optimize their logistics and work as efficiently as possible, which as a result gives CO2 reduction, maintenance cost reduction, etc. Let's take a short look at what access control does. You see it here. Basically, that is something, and we're going to implement it here in one of the cities in the south of this country as well. And we're talking to other cities who have an interest to equip their containers with RFID-equipped systems that enables the right people to get access to containers. And of course, you can integrate a fill measurement sensor to that as well. It's just plugging in, and you have both worlds, which enables you to submit data about user behavior as well as fill rate information. In the back end, what can you do? As I said, once you do collect that data for a while, you have the ability to do forecasting, which container fills how fast. You have your alerting. I mean, we have heat sensors in there, etc. So if somebody wants to put them on fire, or once the container is too full, the container just says, hello, get to me, I would like to be emptied, or it's getting hot here, bring the fire brigade. And it allows you for the most important is routing. Either whether you want static routing or dynamic routing or semi. Card management is something else. If you allow access control over RFID chips, you would like to be able to manage who is having a card, when he received it, or which household received cards when. All just data management. You can do prepaid prepayments. So in some countries people have their card, they can upload and charge their card, for example, with 10 euros, and each time they do collect or they do throw away residual waste, a small fee is being deducted, and they can upgrade the amount that is on the card electronically at several stations in cities. I spoke about variable tariffing, why you may want to do that as well. We also separate private and commercial waste. Restaurants in the city center with on top of that an apartment where citizens live could use the same underground bins, but by having two different cards, I might be a commercial company and I should pay more when I throw away my residual waste than my upper neighbor, who is a citizen using the same stuff. Of course, in the back end, you can do reporting. We do interfacing to other applications like ERP applications, because you might want to do invoicing to citizens. Now, a few pictures. Basically, in that back-end application, you could instantly see where the containers are and how full they are, for example, based on color. This one is pretty full. The green ones have just been emptied, so there's no worry to go there. But this could be a graphical example of how you display filling rates. Here you see a chart where you see the type of fraction. So we're talking about paper here, here's residual waste, the address information, how full they are, when they've been emptied for the last time, the connection means the data connection that has taken place. I mean, you can view all different types of information in the backend about this. Here you can see some forecasting about a container. You see where this container stands and with what average speed it's being filled up. When it becomes critical, here is a 75%, where they say above this it's getting really critical to be emptied. You see the next emptying that is being planned, the average between two emptyings, etc. All that information becomes available once you start collecting data. And at the end, of course, if you do have that information, you have the possibility to say, okay, I have 2-3 vehicles with X capacity, make the optimal routes, and the system starts creating routes. Based example on routing with the basis empty all containers with a speed with a filling of 70%. It creates routes. If capacity is left over in the truck, it fills up the capacity by driving to those containers that are more or less on the route to absolutely use the maximum capacity of the truck to collect waste. And you can send that information, of course, to an application in a truck. So, to cut short, as I said, access management, fill rate management. It's being sent up here. Here you do your route planning, and we do have a service app as well, because the municipalities, our customers, usually use an app when they clean or maintain systems. They could make pictures and say this and this container should have maintenance, this and this should be replaced, and that is all collected in that application here as part of the back-end application. And this represents the picture I just spoke about. Just go there where it is necessary and save money with that and CO2 exhaust. I'm going to quickly talk about one of our customers, a company called Milieu in the Netherlands. It's a public-private partner. They were 4 cities that decided to set up one collection company. So 4 municipalities who said, let's set up this entity and combine all our collection activities in one entity, and that's what they called Milieu. As I said, in the Netherlands, they have approximately, at this moment in 2016, 1,500 underground containers. So many households, total waste. Total waste means total residual waste. I'm not talking about paper, glass, let's say true resources. The starting position in 2013 of 1,200 containers. I'm going to talk about the transition from being a normal traditional waste collector into a dynamic waste collector and what that brought to them. So that was a slide I started with a few minutes ago. What they said is we're going to try and find the optimal emptying moment for each individual container. That was one of the goals they set in order to plan optimally not just the moment of collection but also our resources that we have available. We would like to balance capacities over multiple vehicles and therefore people. And we're going to integrate that with board computers, assuring that we're going to drive as efficiently as possible. So what they first did is they started to collect data just based on opening times for each underground container. And what they did find out is that on average, every container was emptied when there were approximately 200 kilograms of waste in, where the capacity is easily 700. So there was space left for optimization. The containers were emptied once a week, just over fixed routes. So what they said is, after having counted the drum openings for half a year, they said in 2013, let's install fill measurement systems to be very precise, to know exactly how full every container is. In 2014, they started the conversion, they implemented the route planning part, and they said, now we're going to go away from the static routing, the harvesting model. Every morning we're going to have the list of those containers with a minimum filling of 70%, and those are the ones we're going to route, we're going to plan. And that's what they continued in 2015, going dynamic. And they initially started very carefully because they were afraid that overfilling is costing money. They said at 65%, we need to plan them, period. Over a year when they had started, over that year in 2015, they got more precise data, and they could say at 85%, we're going to plan them. That brought big change. And of course in 2016 they did that as a minimum 85% filling of each container. Only then you go there and empty it. What did it bring to them? The number of emptyings in 2014, when they were still statically planning, were 5,000, almost 300 emptyings per year. By going dynamic in 2015, starting with 65% filling, they decreased the number of emptyings with almost 1,200. 1,200 containers that you visit less on a yearly basis. Imagine the amount of kilometers, fuel you save. By increasing the fill level as a minimum to 85, they decreased the number of emptyings further with 800, and they were at 3,211. Imagine from 5,200 to 3,200 container visits per year. Remember also that at the same time, they grew from 1,200 containers to 1,500 containers. The savings they posted were approximately 20% on CO2 as a result of such fuel reduction. A big benefit was found in the number of hours that was being worked at. The guys were initially very skeptical, the drivers, but once the system was implemented and they got used to it, there was a lot of relief because they could easily run their job without having to stress and work like hell in order to hit all the computers, all the waste bins that were planned to be hit every day. They skipped one vehicle. I don't know if anybody knows what a vehicle costs, but a crane vehicle, waste collection vehicle, is easily in our country costing 400,000 euro. So that's quite a nice saving as well. Soft benefits, as I said, there was a lot less stress among drivers. That's it. It's a practical example of how you could save money, increase efficiency, and after all, if you keep a city clean, it attracts investors, it increases the well-being of citizens, and that's what smart waste collection is all about, in our opinion. Thank you very much.